Good evening, America, and happy Friday. My name is Swamp Johnson, and this is Swamp News. Matt Walsh is racist. Daily Wire host says it's unscientific to cast a black person as a mermaid. Matt Walsh slammed for saying Black Little Mermaid isn't scientific. Anti-trans troll Matt Walsh says black mermaids aren't scientific in an on-air meltdown. Now, if you haven't heard, The Little Mermaid was recently re-released as a live-action adaptation by Disney, with Ariel being played by a black woman. So, of course, well-known anti-trans, anti-gay, homophobic, anti-immigrant, racist, demon spawn, totally 100% serious all the time, far-right extremist, Daily Wire conservative commentator Matt Walsh had the worst possible things to say about this development. According to Matt Walsh, this is how The Little Mermaid should actually be portrayed in a live-action adaptation. In an obvious racist tirade about how most deep-sea dwelling creatures have translucent skin and are skeletal and hideous, it is quite clear that what Matt Walsh is actually saying is that he hates when black people are in movies. But of course, the anti-black mermaid far-right extremist contingent on Twitter came to Matt Walsh's defense, saying it was a joke. Thankfully, there were keyboard warriors on Twitter who were able to shut down this argument, with people like Zach Hunt saying, "You can set your watch by how quickly racists like Matt play the 'I was just kidding' card when they get called out for their obvious racism." And Zach wasn't the only one to take on noted far-right anti-black mermaid extremist Matt Walsh. Victoria said, "Wait, Matt Walsh says there's science behind his racist take on the Little Mermaid casting? Is someone going to break it to him that mermaids are mythical creatures and Disney makes animated features for kids?" Thank you, Victoria. You sure got him with that one. Josh Marshall says, "LOL, from a scientific perspective, I shouldn't laugh because the racism isn't funny, but the struggle to present their racism as scientific? Have you met any fish? They don't look like people. With a few exceptions, they're not white. What a effing clown." A quick note, I feel like I wouldn't be doing my journalistic duty if I did not point out that mermaids, in fact, are not fish. But Josh's point still stands strong. We here at Swamp News will never accept this type of bigotry, and we will never acknowledge that people like Matt Walsh should ever be allowed to have a platform, have a house, live a life, or generally exist on the planet Earth. Anti-black mermaid bigotry needs to be stopped. How can you believe that something like this, which far-right extremist anti-mermaid bigots are calling scientifically accurate mermaids, would make a better film than rehashing another old Disney classic and simply swapping the race of the main character is beyond me. Though, actually, I kind of like this one. But, as usual, far-right anti-black mermaid extremist Matt Walsh doubled down on his Disney bigotry, tweeting, "I'd like to alert Media Matters that I also oppose any and all iterations of Beauty and the Beast on the grounds that the film advocates bestiality. Also, Gaston was the good guy in that film, but that's a whole other conversation." Truly shocking anti-LGBTQIAPB bigotry. Now, you have come to expect a certain level of journalism, a certain level of honesty, and a certain level of fact-checking to come from Swamp News. So I'm going to play the clip in question that has stirred up such controversy, just controversy, and just condemnation. Here's Matt Walsh in his own
All right,
words.
Max Winter says, a black actor playing the Little Mermaid really is a case of white erasure. All forms of art, including fairy tales, are meant to be reflections of the author's experiences and observations. Hans Christian Andersen probably based The Little Mermaid based on experiences he went through in his home country of Denmark, so it makes sense that most of his characters would be white, since that's the world and the people he was surrounded by. Yeah, I'm given the way that we deal with these sorts of issues, I'm sympathetic to that. Now, I would be fine, like we talked about yesterday. We don't have to rehash the entire thing, but if we all agreed that race in films and TV shows, especially fictional stories, don't matter, and we're going to take a kind of colorblind casting approach, and it doesn't matter as long as the actor is good. If we could all agree on that, then I'd be on board. And as I said, that's basically what it was for many years, what it was back in the 90s. But what I cannot abide by is the double standard thing where we say, well, the casting, the race in casting matters only for certain races and not for others. No, we're not doing that. Also, by the way, with The Little Mermaid, can we also just mention that just from a scientific perspective, okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have someone with darker skin who lives deep in the ocean. I mean, if anything, not only should the Little Mermaid be pale, she should actually be translucent. If you look at deep sea creatures, they're like translucent. They have no kind of pigmentation whatsoever. And they're just like these horrifying, they look like skeletons floating around in the ocean. That's what the Little Mermaid should look like. She should be totally pale and skeletal, where you can see her skull through her face. And that would actually be a version of Little Mermaid that I would watch.
All right, that was pretty funny. My name is Swamp Johnson, and this has been Swamp News.